Hey Libra, this is your August 2024 extended. Sorry about the clutter here in the background. My apartment was being renovated, like floors being laid down while I was gone. Your energy just popping out of the deck here, the Justice card. So nice to sit here with you, Libra. And the bottom of the deck being the Ace of Swords. Just finishing off my little apology to say that this aesthetic is not Libra's usual taste, I'm sure, but things are still very much in the process of me kind of purging at the moment. And it's interesting because Pluto, planet of purging, I suppose, transformation, is crossing my IC at the moment. It's just moving away. It was directly on my IC, which is the most personal, private and home-oriented part of the chart when this renovation kind of took place. So it's about a transformation of the home. And now I'm in this position now where I can kind of continue to declutter over the next week or so. Justice card and Ace of Swords here. So this is suggesting to me, Libra, that you've become very, very clear on something in the last, I'd say like 24 hours, honestly. It's just something that's really just after downloading for you about fairness in your life and how you're being treated. It's a lot about, like we spoke with the Empress, about you being loved at this part of your life, and that's the focus. You might be starting to consider like is it a fair energy exchange? Well, let's get into your extended August 2024 reading now, Libra, and I thank you so much for being here. This is funny because we saw this 10 of Wands at the bottom of the deck in the first reading, and just to say that, like, yes, I really feel like you have been really tired, or you know, a lot to carry. There's been just a lot on your plate lately. Okay, I think that's just a confirmation on that. So let's have a look at the Empress card. The Empress and the King of Rods. I think where you could find a great deal of harmony in your world this August is creating some really beautiful place for you to sit down and relax and be comfortable in. The King of Rods is a passion project usually with the Empress card, or it's a whole lot of attraction and passion between you and another person. That doesn't have to be a fire sign, but there is somebody that is in your world right now that you're very comfortable with. And for some, the issue is that, like, this, whether it's a masculine fire energy or not, they were almost too comfortable with you, and that kind of could have been an energy of being, you know, them taking you for granted in a sense, your company, you being around. But what is an invitation in August that could be really healthy for you is having people around, making something very comfortable and looking good for yourself, where you kind of sit and relax. And like the other thing that could be a passion project is emerging now for you. So it could be just some sort of vision board, manifestation board. It could be something that you've been looking forward to getting back into, a hobby or a goal, or just something you like to do to unwind. But the Empress card is all of this like love pouring out of you. The King of Rods is a lot of action towards a passion or goal, or to like kind of just making something good for yourself and making something really successful for yourself right now. For me, that looks like breathing life and passion and spark into some sort of a creative endeavor, if not into your dating life, you know, getting dressed up, going out with a King of Rods type of a person, or having a date night, or getting kind of glammed up and ready to go out. And you're really in this sort of soul growth era now of understanding what it's like to be loved. So this is a really nice, I think maybe for some of you who are looking for love, you might see somebody coming in now pretty soon. If you're in a relationship, it's the perfect time for a date night around about now. 9 of Cups. You are feeling very good at the moment, and things are looking incredibly blessed for you. And even though you've been let down or overworked in a sense, or somebody has been flaking on you, and I think you're still going to process that Hermit card later in the month, but here and now, as you watch this reading, or if you watched on YouTube last week, it feels like you've got a lot of blessings in your world. The 8 of Wands. things must be taking off for you now, and they're things that you have been like learning, studying. Like this is a sort of area of life where you've kind of like mastered it, and you've really risen to all the challenges and kind of like always been available for this and always felt like there was good momentum behind this. Is it your career? Is it where your travel has taken you? Eight of Wands has a lot to do with travel. Whatever, like basically Libra, that you just have, there's this area of life for you that has always just been quite seamless, and it always seems to be like excelsior, up and up, not ever kind of like going backwards. I mean, sometimes you might have found yourself in a short lull for a few weeks here and there, or a couple months here and there with this career or with this passion project or just this kind of like interest of yours. But for the most part, like if you were to take a bird's eye view, there's something in your life that always seems to flow really well. That might be money, it might be travel, it might be work and opportunities for networking, it could be your relationship or friendships, but something is really satisfying you at the moment. And it's something that just always, and I mean, there's going to be exceptions to that rule of always, but for the most part, 80% of the time, always flows and synchronizes. But then there's something that you've appeared to be with this critical turning point at, and that's why we see the Ten of Swords here. Something rather final, something pretty much like, I'm done with this, like this is the end of it, this is the last time, last straw, and you're finishing up with something. Five of Pentacles, and there's a sort of hurt energy here, like this person has got not necessarily a physical hurt, but for some of you, yes. I mean, for some of you, this has left you bloody before. Like you might have cut yourself. You say, well, I'm not using that knife set again, or I'm not like going to end up risking myself physically like that again. This could be something that, you know, you have had more than one kind of accident with or injury. And this definitely won't be physical for everybody, but for some, there is something about a physical toll that this takes on you, and so much so that you're like, right, I'm absolutely going to be done with that now because it's taken too much out of me, and it has not been kind to my body, you know. Other than that, the Five of Pentacles might be a financial drain that you kind of are spending on something in a cyclical way that doesn't bring you the same level of joy anymore. And now it's time to just kind of like realign your lifestyle to something that doesn't, not saying that you can't afford this, but it doesn't seem to be worth it for you when you pay for this. It actually makes you feel shitty. I think for most of you though, it's not an injury kind of thing or a hurting physically or even finances. I think it's much more to do with the emotional side of the Five of Pentacles. This feels like hurt, you know, this feels like hurt feelings or rejection or an alienation or being left out. You're not really into like trying to get in or be with or involve yourself with friends or a person or like the people that you work with if you're just not feeling very welcome there. Somebody might have flaked on you one too many times, or you're just kind of given up on this because quite frankly it just doesn't feel good anymore. Maybe it never necessarily felt great, but for now you're like, I'm definitely done with that. And we talked in the original reading about that being something like, you know, they just weren't made that way, I think I was saying, or they just weren't built that way, conditioned that way, and it might have never been possible for them to give you what you needed or to understand you. I think that's a lot of misunderstanding, you know, not feeling understood. Now, at the bottom of the deck, the Two of Cups is here with the Knight of Swords. So yeah, somebody that came into your life, let's say in May or June, might be somebody that you're considering getting to know a little better romantically or even just as a friend. So that's interesting for some that are kind of like looking for romance at the moment. But if not, maybe you kind of clicked with somebody at work or in like a friend from the past coming back, and that's actually even more so validated to you that it's not you. The Empress card coming back to this overall lesson at the moment in your life. It's not you that is like unlovable or undesirable. In fact, you're learning or understanding at least more and more how damn lovable you are and deserving and worthy and special and precious. So you really are trying to just kind of vibe with people who see you as the treasure you are at this time in your life, Libra. Now, the Hanged Man was also a lot of soul growth. And it's funny because this is even more intense than that 10 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles. So this soul growth, it might have felt like, let's see, Page of Pentacles, that you were being misunderstood very often. And it was like you kept trying to portray this sort of, not image, like the Hanged Man does associate itself with Neptune, which is quite illusionary. There is a facade here, and you might have been getting very frustrated that you were being constantly misunderstood or feeling like nobody really, air quotes, got you. But then at the same time, Libra, I get this impression that you were playing along and playing a role anyway. And for a lot of you then, that just became too much because it wasn't sustainable for you to maintain this illusion anymore. And you might have been going along for the ride. You might have been pretending something was fine when it wasn't. You might have been acting in a way to be accepted by somebody or people or a group or even society at large that was never made for you to fit into that mold, or was never really your soul tribe or people. So it must have been very exhausting for you. And that's why the critical turning point is so final for you now, because you're done. And that's what I'm saying there. So the 4 of Cups, right? So Libra, lately you've been a little bit kind of like deflated, I would say. 4 of Cups is kind of like coming down from an emotional high or a period of like thriving. And you're kind of now, that's been like the last, I'm going to say that's kind of like, July, okay? Like July, you were like, meh, I'm not really into this Cancer season, this kind of like, especially the beginning of July, like around that new moon in Cancer. I think it was on the 5th. It was between the 4th, 5th or 6th of July. And you were kind of like, meh, I'm not feeling good. Like I'm feeling like blah. Not the case now. And the end of the month is a real high again. So I feel like August has definitely been an improvement for you. And the beginning of July seemed to be where this 4 of Cups is coming up. And it seemed to be a little bit flat. And since around the beginning of July, you've been building up this kind of optimism and hope again, temperance, beautiful energy, and at the bottom of that deck, the Ace of Cups. And because things have sort of started to spiral upwards for you again. Now, Libra, it would be wise to kind of try and maintain your scales of balance, because sometimes things will be overflowing with happiness and abundance and joy and good times, and sometimes you will just feel like you're seamlessly moving on a right track and there's no blocks, and it's almost like there's some higher power moving obstacles out of your way, and that feels great, okay? But there are going to be cycles in life when we are, like this moon card, surrendering to the, well, this guy's rolling off the circle. You know, there's the downward as well. So it might just be something that you begin to look at now this month around, you know, let me try, and this is like perhaps you, Libra, let me try and maintain a semblance of like inner peace and sort of stability, so that even when the external wave of emotions is kind of like pulling you up or down or side to side, you can kind of stick to this kind of like, we saw the Queen of Pentacles, well, I at least saw her at the bottom of the deck earlier, King, Queen of Pentacles energy. They're not here on the deck yet, but like this sort of central pillar of like maturity or kind of knowing who you are and acceptance and things like that. But something has certainly started to brighten up your world now, Libra, which is great to see. Temperance card. So something like, is it prayer? Is it something to do with a spiritual approach? Is it something to do with you? Temperance is also very much about a balancing act. Like, look at this water being poured, 1 foot up, 1 foot down. There is something to do with finding balance and like just tempering your approach to how you're getting about in the world now, so that you're not like running to extremes anymore. If there's a person in your world that like has been wishy-washy, flaky, or making you feel a little less than, or kind of questioning, like, does this person like me? Do they want to be around me? Or what's the deal here? They actually are coming in as like almost, I know you might not like me to say this, but I'm picking up like they're actually like a great teacher or blessing for you on some level, because they're helping you to get here. However I end up in Empress energy, I don't mind how I got there, because the reward of what I had to go through to be in a position to know my worth, my value, to truly love myself, then I mean, I'm going to count that as a blessing either way. The Empress card, just say, my friend when I was home in Ireland recently said, might be, they do this practice where they look in the mirror and he says to himself, I love you 10 times. And apparently it gets wired into your subconscious that way. I'm like, oh my God, I got to try that. But I'm just going to share that with you. It's kind of a strange practice to get into, but I'm looking forward to seeing the results, and I'll definitely share with you next month if that was something that was helpful for me. Now, let's move on to this Hermit card energy, and I'd like to talk then about what the bigger focus for you beyond this date is. I'm putting this energy from the 14th of the month onwards, but this is a Virgo energy. Mercury is retrograde in Virgo, headed back towards Leo now any day, but the sun will be moving into Virgo on the 23rd. And I'm going to say that anytime after around the 14th of the month, you're truly in hermit mode with a very deep focus on 2 things. So I want to know a little bit about what your focus, it's not like some of you are going to be, the one thing is like focusing on this situation, why this was so hard and drawn out and weird. There's that King of Pentacles. I thought we would see him, or the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so just a reminder to stick to this like central pillar of integrity and making the right choices and being in your truth, so that the chaos and crisis of the external world, when and if it comes up for you, well, it will, of course, that's just the nature of life, but when it does, you're able to kind of ride the wave in a more balanced way. So some of you have got like a real tunnel vision on this situation, 7 of Cups, and why it was so confusing, messy, funky, and fucking weird, to be quite frank. The 7 of Cups is an illusionary card as well, like the Hanged Man. And you're like, how was I under that spell? Or why was I so deceived by this? And like, not even like this person or this group or this information was out to like consciously deceive you, but like there was this real energy lately, Libra, around being misunderstood or just not showing up authentically enough, so that like people weren't seeing your true desires or what you really wanted, and nobody was thinking like, oh great, now I'm going to get my way with Libra. They didn't know any better because you weren't showing them the truth, in a sense. So some of you are going to be looking back at your part to play in this kind of illusion or fantasy. The other people are just, I feel like there is another kind of focus right now, and it's like the mess in your life, the clutter. Looking right here, I've got a vacuum here, a case that has to go to the charity store. I don't know what else you can even see. You probably can't see more than that, but what I'm looking at are massive big crates and boxes, and oh my goodness. And some of you are kind of looking back now at like where your life is was kind of feeling a little bit messy in a sense, and where you had been, I'm gonna say, like being a little bit wild yourself. Take that however you wish, but just being a little bit like inconsistent or messy or kind of flaky yourself. That's interesting, because I feel like somebody was been flaking on you, but then it's probably an energetic match, like, and maybe you don't flake on that person in the same way, but you might have been inconsistent, and you're now examining this inconsistency and how it has kind of, you know, how now that you're going to be on the other side of this, I think by the 23rd of the month, but that's when you're actually going to start reflecting. Anyway, the Judgment card coming through as the transformation that all of this is actually about on a deeper level, you know, and I think it's something to do with, yes, the Empress, and there's the Emperor at the bottom of the deck, 5 of Cups. So there is something about this like transformation of what you want and what you deserve. Some of you, you know, want to be married, Empress, and Emperor. Some of you want to have a child now. Some of you want to settle down, okay? And there has to be a transformation of yourself in order to embark on these archetypes. You know, maybe you're already married or settled down or have children, and or maybe that's not what you want, but there is something about you firmly knowing who you are and what you're not at this time. And the Empress and the Emperor are very defined roles in the tarot, like archetypal mother, archetypal father, but there's like other archetypes around this: creation, lover, loving, nourisher. Emperor, more of the yang rather than the yin, you know, the boss, the CEO, the commander. So there's just this transformation around who you want to be and who you do not want to be. And that's coming through with the loss then. 5 of Cups is the loss and the sadness. Like, you do have to kind of shed a skin at this time. If I'm speaking to any Libra risings out there, you know, the South Node is, I'm a Libra rising myself, in our first house of identity now, and the South Node is finishing up his journey there. Its journey there, and that won't culminate until the beginning of next year. But you know, we're shedding skin, we're shedding an old way, like we're shedding an old archetype. For example, me, I went from shedding my maidenhood to becoming mother, and there's part of me that still clings to an unhealthy like illusion of maidenhood, like, oh, you know, I still want to look good, like I can't believe my body is this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, like that's not serving me to kind of be in the liminal space between maiden seeking approval, validation. That's kind of like an unhealed maiden. Like, there's obviously a healed version of the maiden archetype, which is amazing too. And I'm not like shaming myself or anything, but like I'm still at the threshold of like of fully embodying like the mother archetype that I want to completely evolve into. And I feel like it's coming up with that South Node transit through the first house for me. For everyone it will be different, and Libra rising in particular, there is this like shedding of an old self, and there is a kind of a diminishing now of people pleasing, of kind of just being, and I get this for all Libra energy, like we're all just going along for the ride on some level, or we're just saying yes, or people pleasing and policing ourselves and our identity, and then we're feeling drained. It's like, it's all about boundaries, isn't it? And I think that between now and January, that's where one of the biggest transformations is going to be. Like, you're going to be stepping into a more truer, stronger sense of who you are. And even if that means like being a bit more ballsy, brave, or even if it means showcasing something about yourself that you think wouldn't be desirable, but if it's your true self, the right people will gravitate towards that. So I kind of sped through these 3 cards in the YouTube reading. So let's go a little deeper. The 3 of Pentacles. All month long, you have opportunity to make money and spend it. You know, your spending is as good as you're making right now. But what it's doing is it's attracting a sort of flow around you. Like you know that if you send a gift or treat yourself or treat another or indulge in something that's very good quality, you know that that's just kind of affirming the Empress sort of soul growth, that because I'm worth it, you know. So that's actually really positive. Like spending, making, you're just in a nice flow state with that. But with others too, like you're kind of like leading by example. And those who don't get you, it's at this point you're kind of like, well, I'm done with them. And now you're going to start saying, maybe you started saying yes this month to going out and meeting people that you don't really know too well, like, or you're going to a new club or new organization, or you're getting involved with the community. Maybe it's online or it's in your neighborhood, but you're kind of saying yes to getting to know new people at this time in your life. There seems to be a quite likely business opportunity or a way to make money coming through this month too, perhaps around the very end of the month once Mercury in Virgo is direct. That's the 29th. And this could involve a company that hire you. This could also involve somebody, if you're in decorating, that like they want you to be their they want a consultation with you. I think this energy starts with something like a contract or consultation or a pitch, and it becomes very fruitful for you indeed, and it can help you make a lot of money. Now, the end of August, moving into November, or end of August, moving into September. You might be still on this, like, should we go on this date? I think yes, you know, if that's a question for you. But the end of the month of August going into September feels a lot different than the end of July going into August did. It feels a lot stronger. It feels a lot like putting your best foot forward and like really just like, oh, I'm so excited to see what comes in September. I'm kind of on a roll. 9 of Pentacles. You're making a lot of money, more opportunities to make money come through, more subscribers, more clients, more tips, more everything that you want, like comes in, and you really hit the ground running August into September. And Emperor again at the bottom of the deck. You know, you're just feeling like you understand your role so much more. All right, Libra, thanks so much for watching this extended. I'm gonna say hello, goodbye, see ya.